So yeah, looking at Revolut, and apparently they do like a cashback. If you buy something in the shop, you can automatically set it so the change buys sats with that, which could be quite handy, I guess. But yeah, taking a while to set up. Anyway, we're rolling. How are we
Oh,
doing?
we are we?
We are.
You're on full screen because you were just showing me the phone, so it obviously doesn't show when you're recording. Apparently,
Can you
yeah,
not see
all
me?
good. How are you? I can't. What? Yeah, you were full screen just because
Ah,
when you were showing me the phone, I just clicked full
that's a
screen.
bit invasive. I'm okay. I'm okay. It's been about a week or something, hasn't it?
It has.
What
Yeah.
you been up?
No, it
What you
feels
been up
like
to?
uh, just making videos.
Causing a
Pretty much.
stir. Causing a stir online.
Oh God, it's an absolute mess. Have I not spoken to you since that?
I
Since
think
all
you
that
briefly
happened?
mentioned it, but yeah, it's a bit of a whirlwind.
Oh God, yeah. And I spoke to Martin Habovstiak the other day. It's like a 3.5 hour call. I think I'm recorded for about 2.5 hours or something.
Hmm.
I don't know what I'm going to do with it. Like, I don't know if I probably should just put it up like as it
Who's
is,
that?
raw, unedited.
Who's Martin Habostiak?
He's just a techie guy. I don't think he's actually a core dev. Like, as far as I really should know that. You know, I spoke to him for that long, and I did ask him to explain like his background. But he's obviously been in Bitcoin since like 2012 or something like that, and super techie. I used him in the video where I showed like the legal implications, and he did the whole like 173rd pixel as a red dot. If that's the case, does that mean that's no longer illegal? That was the point that I used from the video, and so he reached out to me and was like, "I really like the video that you did. I can see that you're really trying to learn. Like, I'm happy to jump on a call with you and explain like anything that you want, sort of thing." But obviously, it's the same with everyone in these situations. They come from such a techie focused point of view that it's so hard to like
Yeah,
bridge the gap from the
yeah.
technical point of
It's a
view
different
to
language,
like
isn't
a
it?
real person. Yeah, it really is. Like, and he just thinks of things so differently, and it's trying to like decipher it and like then try and repeat it back to him in a way that sort of makes sense. But I don't know like how good it will be, to be honest, like because there's still so many things, and like often the questions that I had, which have come from regular people, you know, like, so for example, I think probably the biggest one at the minute is the whole the main sticking point I see anyway at the minute. I don't know, like, what's your take? Like, what do you think? Because I think you watched the video from
What's my take on what the
Kratom,
whole
didn't you?
core nuts thing?
Yeah, like, where, like, do you have any questions about it still? Is there anything that you still like make you think, oh yeah, this makes sense, or this doesn't make sense?
I am still struggling to get my head around it at all, but it's purely because it's the technical stuff. Because it's a
Yeah.
deeply technical thing. I I don't know, because I don't have that much experience.
Yeah.
Like I've only just started running a node myself and looking at looking at what the node does and looking at the mempool and trying to understand. Okay, so this does this, and here's a block. Like I'm literally at that level. And I,
I
I
know.
said,
Yeah.
I
Well,
said,
like, I'm not far above
yeah,
that. Like, that's the same as me, really. Like, and so I'm just trying to decipher what these technical people are trying to say
and it's
in a
confusing to
less
me
technical way.
because I know very technical OGs that run knots, and I also know very technical OGs that say, just don't worry about it.
Who do you
It's
know that runs knots that's very technical, out of interest?
Chopper,
Yeah. But he runs core and knots, to be fair.
but he runs an older core as well.
Yeah, exactly. So
Um,
I don't know. I don't know why. Like, I haven't really dug into it, why he does both.
yeah,
But I think he's very much like, I have spoke to him about that before, and I've like explained, like, and he has basically said it seems like it's just a massive nothing burger.
yeah,
Is like
that's
the impression I
yeah.
got from him. So it's not like he's like, we have to all run not, I don't know. But like, do you know anyone else that like does?
What any kind of like technical whiz.
Just any technical person, like anyone.
To be fair, I only know 2 people that run nodes, and that's you and Chopper.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Well,
Maybe
obviously the donkey as well.
Yeah. What does he run?
He's
Core.
just core.
Core,
He's actually anti-knots,
Yeah.
but different reasons.
Yeah. Well, is that because he doesn't like that one person is in charge?
It's mainly Dasher, yeah, mainly
Yeah.
stuff on that. But that's the point. Like, I don't want to get into the personal attacks and the details on personal people. Like, to be frank, I don't care about
Yeah.
them. Like, all I care about is keeping Bitcoin as the first global free market that's ever existed. I'm not on Team Knots. I'm not on Team Core. I don't give a tiny rat's ass about either of them. All I care about is keeping Bitcoin like secure. And from what I can see, this whole thing has been blown way out of proportion.
Yeah. I mean,
a 3-hour podcast with Merch. He's a Bitcoin dev, and I actually thought he did a pretty good job of explaining a lot of this stuff with what's the guy who wears the cowboy hat?
Jimmy Song.
That's it. Jimmy Song, who's like not side, and then Merch, who's a dev, and some other like mediator who seems to be very balanced, to be fair to him as well. And it was by far the best one that I've actually heard. And they addressed like, so the main sticking point I see anyway in the community and stuff at the minute. And I did watch Prater's video. I like the main thing that I got from that really was they still seem to be hung up on this whole what's it called, taproot bug. So Core didn't fix this taproot bug is like the thing that I keep hearing. And then Luke Dasher created a fix for it, and they just palmed him off and ignored him. Whereas if you listen to that interview, he gives you the whole nuances on that whole situation. And to try and summarize it in English, again, I probably won't do a good job because I haven't like thought about this. I'm just going to say it off the cuff is, it's not a bug. Like, they knew what they were getting into with the whole SegWit. So there's been 2 soft forks, SegWit and Taproot, and they heavily considered before both of them that they were going to open up this threat of allowing stuff into the blockchain, like opening it up. And so people have, it seems to me anyway, like people are using this and twisting it to make it seem like it's a bug that has happened from it, which is not. They were fully aware and they still went ahead with it anyway, because it does way more. He explains in the podcast, like they're looking at this like 40, 50 years in advance and trying to predict where things are going to go, such as, you know, if everyone's using Bitcoin as money. The bottom line is, if SegWit and Taproot didn't happen, things like Lightning Network just wouldn't be what it is today without them. It wouldn't be possible, which basically means every time me and you have ever spent Bitcoin with anyone would not be possible. So that's kind of like the point that they're saying is like there were trade-offs to it, but they were aware of them. They just didn't see it as, obviously it's not great for tons of stuff. Whereas I think like the techie point of view is something like this 4 megabytes allowed in each block or something. And they call it like the block weight and stuff. So they were saying like, even if they were completely full, which is not possible because if you're making a transaction or anything like that, then you can't fill up this, whatever this section is. I can't even remember. Like, I don't think it's witness data. I think it's something else. But you can't fill up that. So it's never going to even be 4 megabytes. And basically the point is they made the decision that they'll be able to handle it. Like Bitcoin can handle taking that stuff on. So this debate is not new as well. Like this has literally been going on for about 10 years. So I can see it so much better from like Core's point of view now on like how fed up they're getting with it and how people are just they're not listening to what they're saying, or they're not even spending time to figure it out and then have an opinion, like have this really strong opinion on like completely, you know, obliterate people. You know, like I said to you, stupidly looked in Matthew Cratter's comments before even watching his video, and it just made me like, what's the point of even watching this? Like, because no one's even like, there's just I've just got absolutely obliterated, and it's like you haven't even listened to the words I'm saying. I'm not even choosing a team. Like, imagine what the core people who are like fully core devs, like what they must have been put up with. Who actually are choosing a team, and like it's like, what the freak, man? Like, what is going on here? I've got my reasons as well. I've got theories as to why this is all happening, to be honest, which is totally unrelated to like the whole techie side, but I don't know. It just seems like a total mess to me.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I watched. I listened to this other Bitcoin podcast called This Week in Bitcoin with Chris Fisher. Have you heard that one?
I have, yeah.
And he was talking about Matthew Cratter's video, because obviously Cratter's very pro knots. And
what, the video that he did on my video or on another video?
He was talking about that one, yeah. Chris Fisher. Or I think he was just talking about what, because Cratter every day is putting out pro knot stuff, isn't he? So it was either that one or a different one. And this guy, Chris Fisher, is also like pretty technical as well. Like some of the stuff he talks about, I'm just like, what are you on about? And he was very critical of Cratter and this soft fork. Have you heard of this BIP 444?
Oh my God. Like, honestly, like anyone that thinks that is a good idea, I think and they're framing it like they're framing it like anyone that thinks it's not a good idea, you have to question. I would argue it's the complete reverse. Anyone that thinks that is a good idea, like I'm not techie at all, but the stuff that I've seen from it and from speaking to Martin Habovstiak for like 3 hours the other day, watching this 3-hour podcast the other day, like I was done with this. Like I released that video, I was like, I'm just done. Like I'm done with this now. I don't want to do it. Like I don't want to keep going round in circles on this. And I've just spent another dozens of hours in this last week since I spoke to you on it. Anyway, sorry, I interrupted. Go on, carry on.
No, that was it really. He was basically saying that the real threat is this BIP 444 proposal, which will just like you'll be able to like reject blocks, and he was
it literally is getting rid of the permissionlessness. Sorry, I keep interrupting you.
Well, you know more about it than me. I've just listened to this podcast, but he was saying like this, and it is a soft fork, isn't it? This BIP 444 would be counted as a soft fork. So
that's an actual real change. Whereas what's happening with Core 30, that's on the. So what are the layers again? My mind. There's a consensus
level, and then
protocol. No.
The one
underneath. My brain not working?
the one that isn't consensus.
Yeah, so it's not even the consensus layer that Core 30
well,
is doing.
this soft fork is proposing that like any block that has this kind of, bloated whatever stuff in, potential CSAM or whatever, it will just reject the whole block. But it's like, if there's like 2,000 transactions in a block and one of these transactions is like got this in and it just rejects the whole block, like
exactly. And then it's like, but then also, how do you? It's so Habovstiak, who I was speaking to, was like, there isn't even in this whole BIP thing. He was like, there isn't even any code, so there's nothing for me to even analyze here. Like, if they provided the exact code of what they wanted to put in to the, for the soft fork, then at least you can look on it on first principles and literally look at the code and be like, okay, yeah, this could work. Or, but the point is like, it seems like they're just suggesting, we'll manually choose like what is allowed and not allowed, which is literally defeating the point of Bitcoin.
Exactly. Like who decides? And because, you might have like, it's meant to be borderless and jurisdictionless and whatnot. So this is what that Chris Fisher was saying on the podcast. He was saying, what if something is illegal in one country but not in another? Like, who decides? Is there a team of like Chinese? Exactly. Is there a team of like whoever? But it's like Bitcoin doesn't technically exist just in this one jurisdiction. So who decide? Like, do you know what I mean?
It's become an absolute mess. And like, it really has made me be like, hang on, like, I actually think the people that are pushing this are the ones we should be questioning here. Like,
Yeah, well,
it's
everybody,
gone
you should be
from,
questioning everybody. Yeah.
yeah, obviously you should question everyone. But like, it really has made me be like,
Yeah.
there's something else up here. And it's not even just like, here's me going on a complete conspiracy theory. Like, this is what I actually think could be happening, but this is total conspiracy theory. This is not based on anything other than what I'm seeing and like what I feel like in the situation, because this has gone beyond reasonable logic. Just seeing like the amount of comments and stuff that the what I thought was a very unbiased, purely factual based thing, purely about Core 30, not about people, not about one side or the other, not about choosing anything like that. The amount of backlash that one video has got is insane, like beyond reasonable logic. There have been a few people that have raised reasonable questions, but I've done a huge answer, like massive, like I pinned the comment in the comments, and I say, like, before commenting, please read this. And like, to anyone that just asks the same thing, I've just stopped commenting, because it's like, a lot of people are saying reasonable things, but it's like, I've answered this. Like, just look at the pinned comment. Like, I'm not going to keep going round and round in circles here. But the what I actually think might be happening is, I just think it's a whole other thing altogether. This is just like what they do in politics. Like, there's something bigger at play, but here's the distraction, here's the narrative at the moment. And personally, for me, I actually think the only one real threat to Bitcoin is this whole thing, with we spoke about it before, about Simon Dixon, like what he's saying on
having BlackRock holding your Bitcoin rather than you in self-custody.
I think that is the real threat. Like, people not using Bitcoin, people succumbing to, oh no, there's too much tax, so I can't spend my Bitcoin.
So they use the
like
tax-free ETF and instead, and that kind of stuff.
Exactly. So all you do is you store your Bitcoin with BlackRock in the ETF or Coinbase or whoever it is. Because I mean, BlackRock just stores it all in Coinbase. So Coinbase holds something like over
Millions.
2.5 million Bitcoin now, which is that's over 10% held by one company, and it's growing like exponentially. Like within the last year, there's, just from like a little bit of research that I found, there's something like 250,000 Bitcoin have been sold by individuals and gone into those hands. That's it.
Yeah.
Just in this was only in 2025, and I think I found that data like 6 months ago. So I mean, that could be like 500,000 Bitcoin now.
Yeah.
There's only 21 million.
I mean, I think they're probably
happening for 10 years.
Exactly.
Then we could be looking at, if you're looking at like 80% of Bitcoin held by BlackRock and institutions, that's the threat. That's the real threat. And so I think all of this is just a distraction, and they've basically created FUD within the community. So it's not even FUD outside, whereas I think Bitcoin is now, if FUD comes from outside, they're very, very good at being like, that's just the media. It's just FUD. Like, everyone knows what FUD is now. Whereas when it comes from within the community, it seems much more real. And like, when they throw the CSAM and stuff like that in, like, I even fell for it. I literally was like, oh God, this is really serious. Like, and I was genuinely for weeks, ironically, as I was publishing videos on like how inevitable Bitcoin is, I was genuinely, that was when I was at my most worried. I remember the day that I think it was like my 11th video of that first series that I put out was on why Bitcoin's inevitable. And as I was publishing, like as that went out, I remember that day, that was pretty much the most worried I was about Bitcoin like ever. And then like digging into it and everything, it's just made me realize this isn't even a thing. And yeah, that chat that I said about with Merch, the 3-hour one, he basically explains like, that whole time frame and that whole situation and how they got to the decision and why they've chose to remove it and how it's actually much healthier for Bitcoin. And then the backlash that they got when they published it took them totally off guard, and they just weren't expecting it at all. And so it was completely, the way that he explains it anyway, it shows how it's completely like an innocent thing that there's no coercion, no like conspiracy stuff going on, being bought out or anything like that. And then it kind of got to the stage where then they're spending all this time educating people on like what is actually going on, but people are not finding it or like not hearing it, and it's just snowballed basically, and it's just situation now. Anyway, I really don't want to keep speaking about this.
No, well, that's fair enough. I was just thinking about the BlackRock stuff.
Depressing.
I think with,
Yeah,
I mean, maybe some like of those kind of people have figured out, oh, let's just run the printing press or whatever and stack Bitcoin instead. Like, it wouldn't surprise me if they've definitely figured that out. But I'm sure we said this before, that even within Bitcoin, let's say there's like some kind of tyrannical emperor that just hoards all the Bitcoin. Eventually he's going to have to redistribute it as people accept it more and more. Like, if people stop accepting fiat and only accept Bitcoin, he's going to have to start paying a few people and using it. Like, it's not, eventually it's going to have to be redistributed. Do you not think? Like, it can't stay in one institution. I mean, the only benefit of them doing that,
it can,
really,
if everyone believes,
if they're buying
everyone
the products,
believes,
yeah,
if everyone believes that Bitcoin is an asset and it's increasing their portfolio value in fiat terms,
yeah,
of course it can. And
right.
like the vast majority of people coming into Bitcoin. And so this is what I'm saying. Like, this is what I am now concerned about, is that this whole thing, there's people that are so pushing this BIP 444 that if it goes ahead and it doesn't work, which I think would be very, very likely, all of these people that are like full on Knots side, like Knots is the only way, and they just become this Knots army, XRP style-esque, and like, you know, all these other armies that exist. They
Casper army.
If it doesn't work, which again, like I say, I think is much more likely that it won't work than will work. But if it gets pushed and then that happens, and then they're like, oh, Bitcoin's just broken, you know, and it'll be the same thing that happened in the block size wars, where all these people then leave Bitcoin because they're like, you're not looking at Satoshi's vision and stuff like that. And that will be, it's the same thing that's happening there. But like each time that this happens, it's probably like removing some like hardcore Bitcoiners who are willing to put up a fight, but they're just fighting for the wrong thing, you know. And so they're literally like segregating the community each time that this happens. So it's probably already happened in 2017. I wasn't really around them.
It's a schism within the community. It's like a, you know, the Christian church, a schism. It's like, right, we're going to go and do it. We're going to go and do our own thing. And then, we're going to go and do our own thing.
Yeah, and I mean, there are so many people as well that really do believe BSV or Bitcoin Cash are the real Bitcoin. Bitcoin's like, is the real Bitcoin, and like to the extent that they won't even touch Bitcoin now. Whereas they probably are some of those people that have done the research, they've done the hard work to understand it, but they so believe in this other now split off, completely separate thing that they're not contributing. Whereas if you just added up all those people and like they just stayed in Bitcoin, you know, then Bitcoin would be getting stronger and stronger, because that's like these are the unbribable people that you can't just manipulate and change. And so I respect where people are coming from on the not side, because I do think that they're trying to fight the good fight. They're trying to do the right thing, and I totally appreciate that, because I was literally there just a few weeks ago. It's not even like that long where I was in that same frame of mind, and you know, that's why I published the first video, because I was like, why are people not speaking about this? Like, it was baffling to me. Anyway, like I say, just keep going around in circles here, but
yeah. I mean, there's definitely two types of Bitcoin I've noticed, where you do have these kind of like sailors, these sailor characters, where they're like, yeah, this is the best asset ever, and you know,
institutional Bitcoin,
like they want the ETF, they want all this kind of stuff. But then you've got the kind of Simon Dixons, where it's like, fuck the government, fuck the banking system, Bitcoin is self-custody, you know, privacy, let's go. And they're completely different ends of the spectrum. They're using Bitcoin for completely different, you know, things.
Yeah.
So I guess, you know, it depends what side. Everybody's different. Everybody's got, you know, is on that spectrum of, you know, well, I want it in my personal pension plan because it's a good asset, blah blah blah. And then you're like, right, you know, I've got my own node. I'm buying non-KYC Bitcoin. Nobody knows. Go fuck the government. You know, it depends what kind of person you are. But I mean, yeah. I mean, Simon Dixon goes on about Bitcoin is freedom money. I mean,
That's
for
it.
me, it is. I see it more that for that, you know, because our current money is being inflated away at will. There's nothing we can do about it. So, you know, jump to a currency which can't be debased, because that's one of the major reasons for me.
Yeah. I think
So,
digging into why he calls it freedom money as well is just so important, because it's freedom money because it removes state basically. And this took me ages to understand. I heard all these sort of terms and stuff before, but you have to really dig in and try and see what Bitcoin would look like if everyone lived on a Bitcoin standard, what the world would look like, because it would be totally different. Like, as in, all of this AI change that's happening right now would actually be one of the biggest gifts in humanity if everyone was living off Bitcoin at the minute, because it would actually just free up everyone's time. Everyone would get an abundance of time, which is something that we're getting less and less of, and we'll have the exact opposite in the fiat system.
yeah,
Because all of these job losses are going to cripple people. They're going to literally financially cripple people, and they're going to be absolutely in horrendous. And the only thing that they can do is be like, please give me UBI. Please give me UBI. And yes, sir, I will do whatever you want. Bow down to you. Yes.
exactly. Yeah,
And that is what Bitcoin is. Like, Bitcoin offers you an alternative to that
exactly.
system,
Yeah,
which is, this isn't even like speculation or conspiracy theory or anything like that now. It's like, just do a little bit of work into this and see what I've just said. And that is 100% happening right now.
yeah,
It's not going to happen. It is happening. That world is happening right now. And this is why it gets me, I get so worked up about this when I speak to friends, and I probably then come across as some crazy lunatic. But it's got to a stage where it's like, I can't just keep pussyfooting around this and being like, go and do the research, go and do it yourself, and like, here's where you can look and stuff like that. It's like, this is happening. This is literally happening, guys. Like, they're literally talking about digital IDs right now. And
yeah.
you do realize what the next
CBDCs.
step of that is. Yeah. And then once you're on that, you are literally, you won't, like, Keir Starmer even said, you cannot work in the UK unless you have a digital ID. And it's like,
Exactly.
that's it. How are you supposed to put food on the table for like your kids and stuff? Like, what are you going to do? Whereas if you live on Bitcoin, everything would just be falling in price so like rapidly quicker as AI improves and removes jobs. That basically means that it's, by removing jobs, it's making everything dramatically cheaper, because those jobs are not needed anymore, and things will be getting cheaper and cheaper and cheaper, to the extent where you will need a fraction of what you currently need to live on. You know, I think it's hard for people to hear this from a fiat point of view, when you come at it from a fiat point of view. But if you've been living on Bitcoin or watching what's happening with Bitcoin, it makes much more sense. But I almost feel like the easier way to say it is like, say you spend $5,000 a month now, that is, in this time in 3 years, you could probably spend like $1,000 a month. That's the equivalent of what's happening. Whereas people just would think that's insane. Whereas if you say Bitcoin is going to be, what did I say, in 3 years? Let's call it 4 years. So this time in 4 years, $5,000 a month living costs is $1,000 a month, which is insane. To if you say that to 99.99% of people, they would think I'm mental.
Do you
Whereas
mean
if you say,
like in Bitcoin, or do you mean like things would have deflated?
well, the reason I say that is because people can understand what I just said there.
Okay,
Whereas if I say Bitcoin can go from 100,000 today to 500,000 this time in 4 years, so we're talking end of 2029. Theoretically, if the 4 year cycles keep playing out, that's a whole other cycle. Does that sound ludicrous? Like, maybe if you don't understand Bitcoin, but if you're listening to this podcast, does Bitcoin go into 500,000 this time in 4 years sound ludicrous? It certainly doesn't to me. And I think it's certainly possible. I'm not saying it's guaranteed, but I mean, if that does happen, that is effectively what's just happened. Your purchasing power has gone from 5,000 down to 1,000.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Exactly. That was like 80%, it's dropped by 80%. Like that is what is happening if you live in Bitcoin. And like when you
Whereas
can wrap your head around that, it's
at the
like,
same time,
this is why it's freedom money.
yeah,
You know, you don't need the job anymore, right? Because you can say, you know, if you just at the moment, if you can just save a bit in Bitcoin every week or like every
yeah,
month, whatever it is, like it doesn't have to be a crazy amount. There was a video I did recently where Jeff Booth actually said a very similar thing to what I just said there. And then I went away and did the numbers. I think he said if you'd been saving $100 a week for the last 8 years, you don't need a job anymore. Basically saying that's it, you're set for life. And I was like, whoa, that seems like a bold statement. I ran the numbers and he's actually right. You would have had like 2.9 Bitcoin to live until you're another 150 years from now. You'd only need 2.7 Bitcoin based on $5,000 a month.
That's crazy.
There's only 8 years stacking at $100 a month. And like people are like, oh, I think, well, I've missed the boat. But it's like, I think that same thing will just happen again.
Yeah.
You know, if you just stack $100 a month for the next 8 years, it's not financial advice. It's no guarantee, obviously, but
yeah,
that is what a global free market should do anyway. So as long as Bitcoin stays a global free market, basically decentralized and secure, basically people spending Bitcoin, running a node, owning their own keys, that's how it stays decentralized and secure. So as long as people do that, that's what's going to happen. And it's like,
so this is
like,
this is the BlackRock threat then that Dixon's on about, like just
holding
it.
Only threat.
Yeah,
it's the only threat that I see to Bitcoin.
Institutions holding your coins for you. I mean, I wonder how
all
many
this Core 30 stuff. It's just a distraction to remove some of these good diehard Bitcoiners, and then that leads in the fresh newbies who are going to be much more starry-eyed to the ETFs and the exact threat that's happening, basically.
Yeah. And I can understand like the enticement for the ETF because it is tax-free, whereas at the minute, if you were to...
I mean, it makes, from the current system, it makes way more sense. But that's the point, is that we're trying to move into a new system. And the only way we can do that is if people actually
use it as currency.
Bitcoin.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And the only way people will accept Bitcoin is if people spend the Bitcoin. And the only way people will spend the Bitcoin is, if people accept. So it's like this chicken and egg thing. And someone's got to do it. Like someone's got to just be like, do you know what? I see the bigger picture here, and me losing a few $1,000s to tax and having the headache of like putting it through an accountant each year is worth it. It's far bigger than me spending an extra $1,000 on tax a year or something. And it doesn't have to be like huge. In the UK, what you get like £3,000 tax-free capital gains tax each year. So even if you can just spend £3,000 of Bitcoin each year and you don't have any other capital gains on stuff.
$3,000 of profit as well. So you could even...
Yeah, exactly. So, but I mean, if everyone could just spend $1,000 a year or something like that, or, just a few $100s, whatever, just something, that is far bigger for Bitcoin adoption than anything else that anyone can do.
Speaking of that,
anyway,
I'm just going to share this screen. Can you see that? Did you see that?
Yeah, this is huge.
Yeah, this is mental.
Did you see there's something like
Square
55 or like 5 pages on Bitcoin Map that have been like applied to get accepted onto Bitcoin Map? Like,
really?
Insane amount.
Yeah.
So
basically, for those that are just listening, Jack Dorsey's Square has just opened up 4 million merchants to Bitcoin. So now any vendor that use Square, which is a massive one, really, isn't it? It's now automatically integrated Bitcoin payment, so you can for no change whatsoever to the vendor, they can now take Bitcoin. So you could go to your favorite coffee shop and be like, "Can I pay in Bitcoin?" And it just accepts it on their thing, which is sick.
It's just massive. Like I don't know if people really cottoned on to how big this is actually yet.
Merchants using Square can receive Bitcoin to Bitcoin, Bitcoin to fiat, fiat to Bitcoin, or fiat to fiat payments. So they were already doing fiat to fiat payments, but fiat to Bitcoin, mate, if I was a merchant and people wanted to pay me in fiat, I'd be automatically like switching that out to Bitcoin for the whole day's takings. This is a
But yeah, that's
yeah,
what
this is looking
things like,
good.
I think that's what
No
Strike has done
fees,
so well in the US.
no fees
Yeah,
until
exactly.
2027. This
It's
is
an absolute
crazy.
no-brainer. Like,
Yeah,
why would anyone not do this?
more than 4 million sellers use Square across 8 countries, including United States, France, United Kingdom, and Japan. That's crazy. I need to go and find some of these places that are doing it now. I mean,
Yeah.
Jack Dorsey is an interesting character anyway, isn't he? Very,
Jack Dorsey
he
and
gets it.
Jeff Booth, Simon
Yeah,
Dixon,
yeah,
they're the three. They're like my go-tos, really. Like,
yeah. He
I
definitely
think they're the
gets it.
ones that get it. Yeah, I remember hearing Jack Dorsey actually probably about a year ago on
Hmm.
him saying how he thinks Bitcoin could fail if it doesn't get used as a medium of exchange. But he used different words to that. Basically,
Mm.
I think he said irrelevance. So, and the way
Hmm.
it becomes irrelevant is if people are not using it, basically a medium
Yeah.
of exchange. I remember hearing that and being like, nah, he's wrong. He's wrong. It's
Mm.
going to be a store of value. It has to be a store of value first, and then it can move to a medium of exchange. And
Hmm.
now it's like, oh my gosh, I've seen the light. Like, it's like, oh yeah, no, the reason he's saying that is because of this attack from Wall Street and
Mm.
BlackRock and
Hmm. Who will
the
just want
state,
to hoard it?
effectively.
Yeah, just hoard it.
Yeah. And it makes total, like, if you are from their point, put yourself in their point of view or in their shoes, how are you going to get people to give you a Bitcoin? I know a really good way would be, let's make it completely tax free, whereas
Hmm.
we're going to tax the hell out of it if they use it in any other way.
Yeah,
That's step one. Step
yeah.
two is maybe like, how can we get rid of some of these diehard Bitcoiners? Like, is there anything
Hmm.
we can do to like shake it up and like, make them cheat
Division
their
within
bag?
the community. Yeah,
I
exactly.
think that's like another one.
Divide and
There's
conquer, classic.
exactly. And it's like, I don't know. I just, it's got to a stage where I'm confused how other people don't see it. But then equally, like I say, it's only a few weeks ago where I was literally in the same shoes. So I'm trying to
Yeah,
be as understanding as possible, but
yeah,
it makes it hard when people are calling you a freaking idiot or being bought out by the CIA or whatever.
yeah. I mean, there's no doubt that some of these behind the scenes bankers, probably like 10 years ago, were like, right, what are we going to do about this Bitcoin thing? Because it's happening. So what we're going to do? Are we going to have to just buy it all up ourselves?
I
Who
think they
knows?
tried to just stay quiet about it for as long as possible in hopes that
I
everyone
hope that
would,
it blew away. Yeah.
yeah, like maybe they were hoping like one of those soft forks or something went horrendously wrong, or I don't know. I'm not sure, but maybe it's because
We'll see.
like it's different. I think when you're looking at it all the time and day to day compared
Hmm.
to when you look on something historically, it's a completely different feeling, isn't it?
Indeed. Should we crack on with this book?
Sure, let's do it.
40 minutes in.
If anyone's still around.
Well, we're finally at the good stuff. Chapter 8, Digital Money. And this looks like a pretty weighty chapter. So we'll read it and then chat. Shall I read this time?
Yeah, go for it.
We're on chapter 8 of the Bitcoin Standard, Digital Money. The global telecommunication revolution, starting with the production of the first fully programmable computer in the 1950s, has encroached on an increasing number of material aspects of life, providing engineering solutions to hitherto age-old problems. While banks and startup firms increasingly utilize computer and network technology for payments and record keeping, the innovations that succeeded did not provide a new form of money, and the innovations that tried to provide a new form of money all failed. Bitcoin represents the first truly digital solution to the problem of money, and in it we find a potential solution to the problems of scalability, soundness, and sovereignty. Bitcoin has operated with practically no failure for the last 9 years, although that's longer now since this book's been published, about 16 years. And if it continues to operate like this for the next 90, it will be a compelling solution to the problem of money, offering individuals sovereignty over money that is resistant to unexpected inflation while also being highly saleable across space, scale, and time. Should
I just
Bitcoin go on?
sorry, I just say there when it says practically no failure for the past 9 years or 16 years, as you say now, I've actually just been doing a video on that, and there's really only been 2 times. 2010, when it was about 18 months old, there was the
Didn't someone spend like
I
$1
can't
trillion
remember.
or something?
Yeah, it was like 184 billion Bitcoin someone sent to them. I can't remember what it's called, some sort of bug. But if you look at
Okay.
that, 2010, and then 2013, there
And
was
didn't so,
basically go on.
I was just going to say, wasn't that when Satoshi was still around and he like
Yeah,
put
so
a
it was
fix out
only
for it,
18
they
months. So Satoshi was
reorganized the
there.
chain?
Yeah, and so this is why a lot of haters as well will be like, well, Bitcoin's not actually that decentralized because there was a centralized solution there, but it was small enough where it was easier to be
Yeah,
able to go back like five
it was a
hours
hard
and
fork.
just hard
Was it?
fork. Yeah,
It was a hard
so it
fork. Yeah,
deleted like 5 hours
yeah,
of Bitcoin stuff, or like if you transacted in those 5 hours. But I mean, you got to remember this is 2010. It was basically worth zero. Like
yeah,
I don't know what it would like, maybe $1, maybe not even $1,
yeah,
a
yeah,
few
yeah.
cents. You know, it's literally a completely different time to what it is now. And then
Yeah.
in 2013, there was a split chain fork, whatever it's called, split. It split.
Mm-hmm.
But that was more because of like a software issue. It wasn't like an attack. So the first one was someone like hacking it.
Really?
That second one in 2013 was just more some software issue, like a technicality. Sort of, I guess I'm probably going to say this wrong, but I guess it's kind of like, core having like half of the chain going this way, half of the chain going this way. So if you're running a node, some are going off this chain and it couldn't decide which was the longer one, sort of thing. But again, with that same day, it got sorted out. And so they're the only 2 times in what is now 16 years where any sort of failure has happened. And now, what are we, 25? So that's 12 years. There's 12 years
Yeah.
with 100% uptime.
Uptime.
And so this is what people are a little bit concerned about with the BIP 444 is like, how are you actually going to implement that? Doesn't, like you say, does it mean transactions have to be removed altogether and like blocks have to,
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know enough about it, to be fair. So anyway.
Should Bitcoin continue to operate as it already has, all the previous technologies humans have employed as money, shells, salt, cattle, precious metals, and government paper, may appear quaint anachronisms in our modern world. Abacuses next to our modern computers. We saw how the introduction of metallurgy produced solutions to the problem of money that were superior to beads, shellfish, and other artifacts, and how the emergence of regular coinage allowed gold and silver coins to emerge as superior forms of money to irregular lumps of metal. We further saw how gold-backed banking allowed gold to dominate as the global monetary standard and led to the demonetization of silver. From the necessity of centralizing gold arose government money backed by gold, which was more saleable in scale, but with it came government expansion of the money supply and coercive control, which eventually destroyed money's soundness and sovereignty. Every step of the way, technological advances and realities shaped the monetary standards that people employed, and the consequences to economies and society were enormous. Societies and individuals who chose a sound monetary standard, such as the Romans under Caesar, the Byzantines under Constantine, or Europeans under the gold standard, benefited immensely. Those who had unsound or technologically inferior money, such as Yap Islanders with the arrival of O'Keefe, West Africans using glass beads, or the Chinese on a silver standard in the 19th century, paid a heavy price. Just thinking about that, it talks about the Byzantines under Constantine having sound money and they thrived, and everybody that didn't thrive. Well, do you think now, because we're living in this kind of age of information, everything's on the internet now, there's this entire kind of ecosystem underneath borders, underneath countries. Do you think this will happen, but it will just be the people that have moved to Bitcoin they'll be their own kind of little Byzantine empire. But some of you might be living in London, some might be living in Malaysia, some might be living in wherever, America. But it's kind of like people living in this other ecosystem online digitally underneath countries. Do you know what I mean?
It's the sovereign individual. You ever read that one?
I haven't, but it's on the list. Yeah.
You have literally just described the whole book. You don't need to read it now. That's it.
Oh, there we go.
That is basically what he said. Like you can move across border like way easier. But a big part of it was this whole sovereign money where people could have. It basically described Bitcoin effectively, but it didn't exist at the time. But yeah, that's exactly it. But I worry that Bitcoiners may almost have to like group in certain locations because I mean, if the UK does keep going how it's going to go, and a lot of other Western countries, it's going to drive people out. And it's one of those things where, there's that whole debate of like, you should stand up and fight. And then there's also, but like, it's significantly easier just to move. Yeah. Like, how are you actually going to make a difference in a burning economy or whatever you want to call it? But yeah, I don't know what the answer is, but yeah, hopefully what you said will happen and people will still be able to live as a sovereign free individual in anywhere that they want.
Bitcoin represents a new technological solution to the money problem, born out of the digital age, utilizing several technological innovations that were developed over the past few decades and building on many attempts at producing digital money to deliver something which was almost unimaginable before it was invented. To understand why, we will focus on the monetary properties of Bitcoin as well as the economic performance of the network since its inception. In the same way that a book on the gold standard would not discuss the chemical properties of gold, this chapter will not delve too much into the technical details of the operation of the Bitcoin network, instead focusing on the monetary properties of the Bitcoin currency. Bitcoin as digital cash. To understand
if you did want to get more of the technicalities, then Mr. Antonopoulos, how do you say his name?
Antonopoulos.
Antonopoulos. That book is Mastering Bitcoin. Like, if you want
the top dog
to know the technical stuff, that is by far the best book I have ever come across.
And that was written about 10 years ago, wasn't it? More than 10 years ago.
Probably is a bit too much. Was it? I don't know if it... I mean, this is the second edition. Let me see.
I reckon it came out about 2015.
That's quite crazy that 2015 is 10 years ago. It doesn't actually say. It's weird. I'm sure it will hint at it.
I think it was an early one.
I mean,
I think
that was his first saying book. He stumbled on it in 2011. So he's known about it since 2011. Oh, here we go. June 2017. Second edition. Okay. Yeah. So this is second. Yeah, that's crazy. That's actually not far off 10 years ago.
I mean, in my
head, I was that's like 3 years ago.
I was listening to a Joe Rogan podcast with him on, which was from 2014. And even in 2014, they're really, really good. They've aged like perfectly. Because Antonopoulos is talking about things like micropayments for content creators, like, which wasn't a thing then. I remember you saying about this. But is now a thing with Nostr, and like if somebody puts a tweet out, they can get like a fraction of a pence. Not a tweet, sorry, like a post on Nostr. Or people can just offer value. This is what we're seeing with Fountain FM as well. Like people can stream just a few sats per minute, like 5 sats per minute, and then they've paid, the equivalent of 5p or whatever. But this is direct value for value stuff, which he was talking about 2014 before it was even a thing. But he, even in 2014, was saying that he'd been fully living off Bitcoin for the past 2 years. So basically since 2012, he's been fully living off Bitcoin. And he was saying, well, it is a currency because I've been living off it for 2 years. So these people that say, oh, it's just funny money, it's not real. It's like, well, I've been living off it for 2 years. So what you on about?
That's exactly it.
Anyway, Bitcoin as digital cash. To understand the significance of a technology for digital cash, it is instructive to look at the world before Bitcoin was invented, when one could neatly divide payment methods into two distinct non-overlapping categories. One, cash payments, which are carried out in person between two parties. These payments have the convenience of being immediate and final, and require no trust on the part of either transacting party. There is no delay in the execution of the payment, and no third party can effectively intervene to stop such payments. Their main drawback is the need for the two parties to be physically present in the same place at the same time, a problem which becomes more and more pronounced as telecommunication makes it more likely for individuals to want to transact with persons who are not in their immediate vicinity. Number two, intermediated payments, which require a trusted third party, comprise checks, credit cards, debt cards, bank wire transfers, money transfer services, and more recent innovations such as PayPal. By definition, intermediated payment involves a third party handling the money transfer between the two transacting parties. The main advantages of intermediated payments are allowing payments without two parties having to be at the same place at the same time, and allowing the payer to make payment without having to carry her money on her. The main drawback is the trust that is required in execution of the transactions, the risk of the third party being compromised, and the costs and time required for the payment to be completed and cleared to allow the recipient to spend it. Both forms of payment have their advantages and drawbacks, and most people resort to a combination of the two in their economic transactions. Before the invention of Bitcoin, intermediated payments included, though were not limited to, all forms of digital payment. The nature of digital objects since the inception of computers is that they are not scarce. They can be reproduced endlessly, and as such, it was impossible to make a currency out of them, because sending them will only duplicate them. Any form of electronic payment had to be carried out via an intermediary because of the danger of double spending. There was no way of guaranteeing that the payer was being honest with his funds and not using them more than once, unless there was a trusted third party overseeing the account and able to verify the integrity of the payments carried out. Cash transactions were confined to the physical realm of direct contact, while all digital forms of payment had to be supervised by a third party. After years of innovative trial and error by many programmers, and though relying on a wide range of technologies, Bitcoin was the first engineering solution that allowed for digital payments without having to rely on a trusted third-party intermediary. By being the first digital object that is verifiably scarce, Bitcoin is the first example of digital cash. There are several drawbacks to transacting through third parties, which make digital cash a valuable proposition for many. Third parties are by their very nature an added security weakness. Involving an extra party in your transaction inherently introduces risk because it opens up new possibilities for theft or technical failure. Further, payment through intermediaries leaves the parties vulnerable to surveillance and bans by political authorities. In other words, when resorting to any form of digital payment, there was no alternative to trusting in a third party, and whichever political authorities rule over it, and being subject to the risk of the political authority stopping the payment under pretext of security, terrorism, or money laundering. To make matters worse, intermediated payments always involve a risk of fraud, which raises transaction costs and delays final settlement of payments. Anything to say? This is just don't trust, verify. And reminds me of the whole, trucker protest or even the whole WikiLeaks thing back in the day, where people wanted to donate to Julian Assange, and all his bank accounts got locked down. So that was one of the first like major uses for Bitcoin. I remember reading about was sending it to WikiLeaks to support them because it couldn't be censored. There was no third party. It was just like giving them digital cash. Here you go. Nobody's going to intercept that or ban that. There we go.
Yeah, I think he's just really hit on the main point of Bitcoin, really. You know, like we were talking about what we would say to the farmers and stuff.
Solve the double spending problem.
Yeah.
It doesn't require a third party at all.
That, if you really understand the whole solving the double spend problem, that is the point.
It's digital
cash.
Is
0 to 1. It's gone from like that was not possible to now that is possible. And that is the genius behind it. And it had never been possible to do it without a centralized authority, basically. Yeah. So it can never be done again, basically. It's literally like you can't invent the wheel again. You can't create fire again. You can't go from being able to not double spend.
The problem is solved. The problem is solved. Yeah, so there we go.
Exactly. And I think that was another huge light bulb moment for me.
In other words, intermediated payments take away a significant share of the properties of money as a medium of exchange controlled by its owner, with high liquidity for him to sell whenever he wants. Of the most persistent characteristics of money historically are fungibility. Any unit of money is equivalent to any other unit. And liquidity, i.e. the ability of the owner to sell quickly at market price. People choose monies that are fungible and liquid because they want sovereignty over their money. Sovereign money contains within it all the permission needed to spend it. The desire for others to hold it exceeds the ability of others to impose controls on it. While intermediated payments compromise some of the desirable features of money, these shortcomings are not present in physical cash transactions, but as more trade and employment takes place over long distances thanks to modern telecommunication, physical cash transactions become prohibitively impractical. The move toward digital payments was reducing the amount of sovereignty people have over their own money and leaving them subject to the whims of the third parties they had no choice but to trust. Further, the move from gold, which is money that nobody can print, toward fiat currencies whose supply is controlled by central banks further reduced people's sovereignty over their wealth and left them helpless in the face of the slow erosion of the value of their money as central banks inflated the money supply to fund government operation. It became increasingly impractical to accumulate capital and wealth without the permission of the government issuing money. Satoshi Nakamoto's motivation for Bitcoin was to create a purely peer-to-peer form of electronic cash that would not require trust in third parties for transactions and whose supply cannot be altered by any other party. In other words, Bitcoin would bring...
Sorry.
Go on.
On that previous point, I was trying to get my head around it and read it again. So that previous paragraph there, it said it became increasingly impractical to accumulate capital and wealth without the permission of the government issuing that money.
Yeah.
Why? I'm still like trying to... I know that's the case, but I'm just trying to figure out what he's actually said there. So as more trade and employment takes place over long distances.
Further, the move from gold, which is money that nobody can print, toward fiat currencies whose supply is controlled by central banks, further reduced people's sovereignty over their wealth and left them helpless in the face of the slow erosion of the value of their money as central banks inflated the money supply to fund government operation. It became increasingly impractical to accumulate capital and wealth without the... it just became the thing just to...
It's just inflation, basically.
Yeah, because it became increasingly impractical to accumulate capital and wealth without the permission of the government issuing that money. So if the standard thing was just take the cash, like take the dollar, take the pound, unless you were like actively wanting to avoid it. No, I only stack gold sovereigns, it just became increasingly more impractical to accumulate capital and wealth without the permission of the government issuing that money. It just became the currency by the sounds of it,
Yeah.
the done thing.
Sorry.
And it was also it was also kind of done with, sleight of hand. So like originally the paper, I reckon back in the day people would have been like, what is this? What's this piece of crap? What's this paper? I want gold. I want a silver coin. You know, and it took them a while to say, oh, actually, no, this is a note. This is backed by this. This is an IOU for a silver coin. You can take it into a
Yeah.
bank and you'll get a silver coin. So it's okay,
Yeah.
fine, fair enough. I'll take the paper if I can take the silver coin, which you could originally. And then many more decades, the paper became more normalized because it was easier. And then it was like, okay, a few more decades passed. Now we're going to sever the link between there. Okay, now it's not backed by that at all, and you can't go and switch it out. And now, but the illusion remains. Do you know what I mean? It's a delusion.
This
It's an
is
illusion.
what you're. I can't remember the exact term for this, but basically it's a generational thing. So that is in the next generation, if they grow up with paper being money, it's just totally normal. And so this is the crazy thing that I don't think enough of us recognize at the moment, is that, like my kids and the next generation, they will grow
They
up
know about Bitcoin.
with
Yeah.
people, and they might not even know about Bitcoin, but
Interesting.
this is
Okay.
how people pay for things. Boop,
Yeah.
boop, you
Yeah.
take your phone and you go and pay. Like that's what's currently
Digital.
happening.
Mm-hmm.
It's digital money. So they're going to grow up with digital money being totally normal. Like, even to the extent that I remember when I first moved to Qatar, so this is like 2015, the head of P at the time was about 10 years older than me. So I don't know, he would have been 35 or something, around that sort of age. And he did not believe in online banking at all. He would always go to the bank. He would always take out physical cash. He would deal in physical cash, like all the time, and so he's not particularly old. Like today he'd be pushing 50 sort of thing. So he's not crazy old or anything like that. But even he was of that mindset. And now he's actually like into Bitcoin a bit and, well, crypto. So he's gone like a total shift, and that's only 12 years, like 10, 12, just over 10 years that's happened. And so he's gone through it. What do you think, like kids that are being brought up onto this is going to be totally normal for them. There's going to be nothing weird about paying with your phone or paying with digital money, or like owning digital money. So I don't think that's,
I mean,
it's going
to be easier for this whole CBDC to be implemented, because it's just going to become natural. It's like digital currency.
Yeah.
Everything's already digital. Like, how many people use cash anymore? I mean, I kind of stubbornly do, but that's just because I'm stubborn like that. But I mean, most people
was just telling me that apparently there's going to be like a cash day coming up, like next one. I don't know if it's just a local thing or what it is, but apparently everywhere's only going to accept cash. I think it's because of this whole digital ID thing. There's like a protest. I don't know if it's across the whole UK or whatever, but yeah, apparently everyone is in, like all shops and stuff are only going to accept cash on that day.
I mean, the whole
that's so cool. That's good. Like that's useful.
The whole paying on your phone, I've never got into that. Like, but like just tapping the phone or tapping the Apple iWatch or whatever, any of these kind of gadgets that people have. Like, I've never got into that. That's But
have you seen the
people
ring?
are a Bitcoin ring? No, I've not seen that.
Have you seen that? Like, I've seen Joe Nakamoto. He often goes and pays with his ring. It's like,
so what is it, like a lightning wallet in his ring?
I don't know if it's Trezor or whatever. Yeah,
interesting.
So it would just be synced to his lightning wallet.
Interesting. But yeah, I mean, things are getting more digital. So I think the younger generation, they're gonna easily understand Bitcoin, compared to like the boomers, but they're also gonna maybe easily just walk into a CBDC, because why not? Their cash is already digital, isn't it? It's just numbers on a screen,
Exactly.
So, which way? Anyway, Satoshi Nakamoto's motivation for Bitcoin was to create a purely peer-to-peer form of electronic cash that would not require trust in third parties for transactions and whose supply cannot be altered by any other party. In other words, Bitcoin would bring the desirable features of physical cash, lack of intermediaries, finality of transactions, to the digital realm and combine them with an ironclad monetary policy that cannot be manipulated to produce unexpected inflation to benefit an outside party at the expense of holders. Nakamoto succeeded in achieving this through the utilization of a few important, though not widely understood, technologies. A distributed peer-to-peer network with no single point of failure, hashing, digital signatures, and proof of work. Nakamoto removed the need for trust in a third party by building Bitcoin on a foundation of very thorough and ironclad proof and verification. It is fair to say that the central operational feature of Bitcoin is verification, and only because of that can Bitcoin remove the need for trust completely. Don't trust, verify. Every transaction has to be recorded by every member of the network so that they all share one common ledger of balances and transactions. Whenever a member of the network transfers a sum to another member, all network members can verify the sender has a sufficient balance, and nodes compete to be the first to update the ledger with a new block of transactions every 10 minutes. In order for a node to commit a block of transactions to the ledger, it has to expend processing power on. He's talking about mining here. He's not talking about nodes, I guess. But I mean, technically, a miner could be referred to as a node. In order for a node to commit a block of transactions to the ledger, it has to expend processing power on solving complicated mathematical problems that are hard to solve, but whose correct solution is easy to verify. So he's talking about mining, isn't he? Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I was on mute. Yeah.
Yeah. Which is a bit confusing because you've got nodes, which is the whole. Is it running core? Is it running knots? But then you've also got miners, but they can be referred to as nodes.
Yeah, like when Bitcoin first started, if you owned Bitcoin, you ran a node and a miner. That was everything. Like that was the only way to actually get Bitcoin. Initially was to mine Bitcoin. So you could just do it through your own computer, like back then.
Yeah.
But obviously, what happened was with the mining is, so what is it? CPU or something like that's what is used on a computer, whereas a GPU is used more in like gaming devices. Is that right? Something like that.
Yeah.
And someone found that it was way more efficient to mine Bitcoin using that. So then as soon as someone did that, and obviously jumped on that bandwagon, started doing it. And then obviously that led to the invention of like ASIC miners, which are super powerful.
Yeah. Specifically for Bitcoin mining.
Only for Bitcoin mining. Yeah, it cannot do anything else.
Yeah. This is the proof of work system, and only with a correct solution can a block be committed and verified by all network members. While these mathematical problems are unrelated to the Bitcoin transactions, they are indispensable to the operation of the system as they force the verifying nodes to expend processing power, which would be wasted if they included fraudulent transactions. Once a node solves the proof of work correctly and announces the transactions, other nodes on the network vote for its validity. And once a majority has voted to approve the block, nodes begin committing transactions to a new block to be amended to the previous one and solving the new proof of work for it. Crucially, the node that commits a valid block of transactions to the network receives a block reward, consisting of brand new Bitcoin added to the supply, along with all the transaction fees paid by the people who are transacting. This process is what is referred to as mining, analogous to the mining of precious metals, and is why nodes that solve proof of work are known as miners. There we go. He's explained it there. This block reward compensates the miners for the resources they committed to proof of work. Whereas in a modern central bank, the new money created goes to finance lending and government spending, in Bitcoin, the new money goes only to those who spend resources on updating the ledger. Nakamoto programmed Bitcoin to produce a new block roughly every 10 minutes, and for each block to contain a reward of 50 coins in the first 4 years of Bitcoin's operation, to be halved afterwards to 25 coins and further halved every 4 years. Anything to say? You just unmuted.
No, yeah, I just I just thought it's just interesting to read this again. It's like, yeah, I understand this now. Whereas the first time I was probably like, what is going on?
Literally, yeah. The quantity of Bitcoins created is pre-programmed and cannot be altered no matter how much effort and energy is expended on proof of work. I mean, this is another like 0 to 1 thing for Bitcoin, is that even gold before, with the whole supply and demand thing, if there was supply increased and the price went up, that demand could potentially meet the supply, because people think, right, there's a lot more money in this now, so let's go and mine some more gold, and then you could meet the demand and it would naturally balance itself out. Bitcoin, as far as I'm aware, is the only one that has literally got a pre-scheduled release schedule, and it's like it halves every 4 years. So even if the demand, let's say in 10 years, is like off the charts, everybody wants to use Bitcoin, well, sorry, the demand, the supply cannot possibly meet that demand.
Yeah, so just taking that example, what is it now? It's like 3 point, let's call it 3.2.
125. Yeah, 3.2.
Yeah, let's just call it 3.2 for maths. So then it goes to 1.6 and it'll be 0.8. So that is 0.8 to 3.2. That's 75% reduction in supply this time in 10 years.
Yeah.
Do you think the demand would be the same this time in 10 years? Because if it is the same, then just going off that logic, then the price is going to be
3x, 4x, whatever.
Basically like a 4x. If you think the demand's going to increase,
exactly, it's going to be even more so.
Do more X's, and
because it's
comes
finite.
back to my point on like, do you think it's that crazy for Bitcoin to be at $500,000 in 4 years' time? If you don't understand Bitcoin, that might sound crazy. If you do,
I mean, that's probably base case if the demand stays the same.
Yeah, I would say that's, I wouldn't say to be expected, but like, I wouldn't be surprised if it got to that in 4 years. To get in 10 years, then I wouldn't be surprised if it's, to be honest, I would say this. I would be surprised if Bitcoin hasn't hit $1 million per coin within the next 10 years. Doesn't mean it stays there. Doesn't mean, I just would be surprised if that hasn't happened. Unless BIP 444 can mess everything up, or some other unforeseen thing that you don't know about.
We'll see. Where was I? The quantity of Bitcoins created is pre-programmed and cannot be altered no matter how much effort and energy is expended on proof of work. This is achieved through a process called difficulty adjustment, which is perhaps the most ingenious aspect of Bitcoin's design. As more people choose to hold Bitcoin, this drives up the market value of Bitcoin and makes mining new coins more profitable, which drives more miners to expend more resources on solving proof-of-work problems. More miners means more processing power, which would result in the solutions to the proof-of-work being arrived at faster, thus increasing the rate of issuance of new Bitcoins. But as the processing power rises, Bitcoin will raise the difficulty of the mathematical problems needed to unlock the mining rewards to ensure blocks will continue to take around 10 minutes to be produced. Difficulty adjustment is the most reliable technology for making hard money and limiting the stock-to-flow ratio from rising, and it makes Bitcoin fundamentally different from every other money. Whereas the rise in value of any money leads to more resources dedicated to its production and thus an increase in its supply, as Bitcoin's value rises, more effort to produce Bitcoins does not lead to the production of more Bitcoins. Instead, it just leads to an increase in the processing power necessary to commit valid transactions to the Bitcoin network, which only serves to make the network more secure and difficult to compromise. dude, it's literally the most genius system. The more I delve into Bitcoin, the more I'm like, this is literally so genius. Bitcoin is the
Yeah,
hardest money ever invented. Growth in its value cannot possibly increase its supply. It can only make the network more secure and immune to attack. So, like, imagine you like mining gold, and the more diggers that you get mining that gold, the harder the ground gets. So, because the amount released is literally locked in, you cannot ever change that. The more you push, the harder it pushes back. And let's say everybody gives up, they're like, "Oh well, forget this. This is not bothered about this anymore." The difficulty adjustment automatically adjusts to incentivize people to start mining, because then it will be easier for the average Joe to mine. So let's say, oh, forget this, nobody's bothered anymore. Okay, we'll automatically adjust. So me and you can mine on our laptops at home and we'll get a bit of a reward for that, which in turn will increase the hash rate. Therefore, it will incentivize. Do you know what I mean?
that's it.
It's like a living creature that constantly that will find equilibrium no matter what happens, and it will incentivize people to play the game, to find that equilibrium no matter what, just without a brain, without like a CPU, without anything at all. It's just code. This is how genius this thing is.
It's mad, isn't it? It's every
Yeah,
2016 blocks as well. Every roughly 2
yeah.
weeks, that adjustment happens. In case you're wondering, you can actually find patches. I've found this before where the blocks are mining way quicker than 10 minutes, and then obviously,
Okay, then it
because it
adjusts.
takes 2 weeks, it happens continuously for a while, like depending on how much time is left in those 2 weeks. But then obviously then it will adjust and it can go the other way, and then but it's like constantly, like you say, finding equilibrium. I think that is the bit, like if everyone can understand that bit, for me anyway, that's just such a logical, it's like, oh right, this is just going to keep happening. And it's kind
Yeah,
of like linking game theory involved as well, isn't it? Like it's just sort of like whoever does this first gets a massive benefit, and it incentivizes other people to do it, sort of thing. So yeah, it's
yeah. It's
it's
just running. It's
huge.
just out there. This is what people don't understand. It's just like a set of rules which are out there running. It's just code, and this kind of digital protocol is out there running. If you want to play the game, you get a little digital tokenized reward, which is scarce and finite, and you can spend it and save it, and that's called Bitcoin, and that's what it is.
Stack say humble.
Exactly. I'm gonna have to call it a day actually. So should we'll can we end on that one, and then because this paragraph, this chapter is like every single sentence can delve into it.
It's a gold mine, isn't it? So which bit are we up to there? It can only
We're
make the network more
we're
secure.
up to difficulty adjustment is the most reliable technology. Yeah, difficulty adjustment
Yeah.
we were at.
Okay.
Right. I'm gonna have to call it a day, but we'll crack on with this next time.
Cool. All right. Cheers, mate.
Nice one, brother. See you next time.
Bye.